Hello, and welcome to the first edition of Around the Block. I'm Chris Fallon, and I'll be your host for the next 30 minutes as we take you inside the Massachusetts Department of Correction. This show will focus in on a diverse group of employees representing a broad range of skills and disciplines that a department as large and complex as the Department of Correction needs to function on a daily basis. Tonight we're going to take you inside the department's Special Operations Division. This division consists of the Special Operations Response Unit, the Special Reaction Team, the Crisis Negotiations Team, K-9, Honor Guard, and the Central Transportation's High-Risk Transportation Unit. Special Operations Division tactical officers go through a demanding selection process and participate in continued training, both classroom and scenario-based. The Special Operations Division may be called upon at any time for multi-day operations, demanding the best of them both physically and mentally, as you'll see in our first segment.
The first week assessment is more of a breaking down to see how people react under those stressful conditions and see how that can relate as far as what we do during a stressful situation as far as a disorder or anything that we will do.
It's basically two phases. The initial phase is what we refer to as an assessment selection program. Second phase is basic entry-level training. I'll talk a little bit about phase one initially. Phase one is actually designed more or less to assess individuals for the Special Operations Division. And what I mean by that is it's not designed as a team-oriented week. It's designed and based upon the individual.
Hey, question for you, candidates. Anybody need water?
Sir, yes, sir.
Do you?
Sir, yes, sir.
Too bad. Torture and agony. Move forward. Pain and hurt. Fill in behind them and follow me.
Good recruit. Obviously physically fit, mentally strong, focused. Something we like to emphasize tremendously is attention to detail. Those are the basic attributes that we're looking for in, a potential member of a Special Operations Unit. I would say military background may very well be a positive, obviously, or a law enforcement background or some professional background like that, but it's certainly not a discriminator or something that we look for specifically. We look at the candidates overall. We don't necessarily say, hey, a military background is going to give them a leg up or a police background is going to give them a leg up. We look at that individual. And we look at what that individual brings to the table. So, will it be a plus as far as helping them along? Potentially it could be, simply because of the regimentation, the discipline that they may be encountered in that organization they were in. So, started with 43 physically on the first day of the assessment selection program. Right now we're at 31. Probably one of the biggest struggles for them is the physical aspects. Physically, they're pushed to an extreme limit, especially in phase one, in the assessment selection portion.
Is this the most difficult thing you've ever done?
Yes.
So I was correct when I told you that day one.
Yes, sir.
Guess what? You think yesterday was hard. Today will test you absolutely to the point. You will be taken to the brink today.
it's important, and we looked at this specifically, it's important for them to be able to operate under stress. And that's probably as close as we can get, the way we depict that in the program, the closest we can get to actual operations. So I would look at it like this. We put them under physical, psychological, mental stress, and it's designed more so to get them or put them in a position similar to what they might experience operationally. We're basically looking for people that can think on their feet. When they get to the second week, where they're getting that foundation training, that baseline training, now we're taking the step forward into the team environment. So we're transitioning from an individual effort to a team dynamic. And as far as the difference, whether it's a cell extraction, whether it's a force move, whether it's what we were doing yesterday with the riot control formations, it's all designed to take those individuals, give them those individual skills, then build on the subunit skills and then the collective skills so that you can operate as an individual, you can operate as a member of a small team, and then ultimately operate as a member of the collective itself. And all the things we look for in selection apply or are important to those operators, to those particular people becoming members of the team. So it's the same thing again. It's physical, it's mental, it's focus, it's attention to detail, everything rolled in together.
The second week is all bread and butter work. It's basic corrections, but really pinpointed to basics. And if you do good basic work individually, collectively, it just works out real well. So the second week is more basics, dealing with the cell extractions. Riot control formations, chemical agent, how to operate during a chemical environment. It's a 125-man unit, and what we'd like to do is keep 30 to 34 members in each squad. What we do is, after the assessment week, we have a pretty good indication on who's going to make it through the belt process. We do a draft right there and then, and we do it by squads, and the squads with the less amount of people at the beginning of the phase has their draft picks, and we do it that way. We like to have each squad be self-sustaining, and that helps with the type of people that you put in each squad. The beauty of what we do here during the second week is it's all squad leaders and assistant squad leaders who provide this training.
When you're moving, you're doing the stomp and drag. Every time you thrust out there, right, it's with bad intentions. It's with bad intentions. You keep it high. Not down here. No one's baling hay. No one's shoveling snow. It's up here, just right here. It's move! 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 Got it?
So the squad leader and assistant squad leaders constantly we provide feedback on these students from the assessment week into the belt week. So they have a good idea of what each candidate's capabilities are, some of the weaknesses that they have. So that rolls in nicely into their squads when they go back and do their sustainment training. Definitely wanted to recruit more females onto the team. It's never been a large number of females on the team. Currently, we had 3 when we first started this process. We're adding another 3 onto it. So we increased it decent, but we're always looking for good qualified females. Seeing that we've never been to MCI Framingham, and that's something probably in the future, we definitely need female staff.
And we're having a little PT. We're going to go for a nice 1.25 mile run around the complex. Let everybody know who we are.
Big thing about our team is that it's been an older team. Our average age on the team prior to the last 3 belt classes were about 42 years of age. Since the last 3 belt classes, it's dropped it down to about 28 years old. So there's been a good changeover, and it's a young man's game. And now the people who have reaped the benefits are those young tactical members, just by the mentorship that the senior staff on the team has been able to provide them. Believe it or not, the attrition rate is not all that bad. When you're doing something you enjoy, people tend to want to stay there. So most of the attrition that does happen, it's either through retirement, our older bodies start breaking down, and we can't do the things that we used to do on a tactical side of the house. Most of those tactical members that do decide to leave the active roles, we provide them an opportunity to stay with the team through the video operations arm that we have, the logistics support. It's good to have old TAC members that know what we go through and let them continue their service, one as a mentor and in the support role. The support at the institutional level is tremendous. I mean, we're sending good correctional officers back to the institution. That's the first and foremost. People come here and they think that Special Operations Division is just itself an entity. I look at it differently. We're sending an employee back to the institution who's now an asset to that institution. We do other things. We have the 561, the cell search, the institutional search program that we get called out, and it ranges from 1 day to 4 or 5 days. We have, we work with a high-risk transit that we actually do some type of transportation trips with inmates, high-risk inmates, to court systems. We do internally, we did security for other places, MCI Shirley, when they had their disorder. So we're always there to support the institutions for whatever their need is, and the beauty of it is we adapt to it. And every mission we have done has been a success, and we measure that success by the safety of the officers that we work with. And so far, it's been tremendous.
Tomorrow will be the first time in about 2 years that the whole team is together, all 123 of you. Tomorrow I want your Sunday best.
As you've just seen, we're always looking for a few good men and women. Not for you? Love animals? How about dogs? Then maybe this segment is just what you're looking for, the Massachusetts Department of Correction Canine Unit. Sergeant Mark O'Reilly, the head of the Department of Correction Canine Unit, recently sat down with DOC TV to explain a bit about the canine officers, members of the Special Operations Division of the Massachusetts Department of Correction. O'Reilly explained that many of the narcotic dogs are actually rescued dogs that have been rescued from different shelters in the region. They run through a battery of tests to ensure suitability for the service that they'll be placed into.
Currently we have 8 canines attached to our unit. We have 4 narcotic canines, which are made up of labs and retrievers. They are passive alert dogs, which means when they find narcotics, they either lay down or sit and place their nose as close to the narcotic as possible. They are food reward dogs, which means the only time they eat is when they find narcotics. This is Sergeant Aruna and Canine Baxter. Canine Baxter is a passive alert narcotic dog, which means he only alerts to the presence of narcotics passively. He's a strictly food reward dog, which means he only eats when he finds narcotics. As you can see, Canine Baxter just alerted to the presence of narcotics. Every time he places his nose to where the narcotics is located, Sergeant Aruna will give him a little bit of food. Canine Baxter is a 6-year-old lab. He's been in service since 2006. Sergeant Aruna and Canine Baxter go out daily, perform narcotic searches within the DOC, whether it be a male, inmate property, cell searches, people entering the facility for the day, car searches. The other 4 dogs we have are patrol dogs. We have 2 German Shepherds and 2 Belgian Malinois. They are trained in tracking, criminal apprehension, riot control, evidence recovery. This is Officer Connors and Canine Maxic. Maxic is a 2-year-old Belgian Malinois who is currently in school right now for narcotic training. Maxic is already patrol certified. You saw in the beginning, Officer Connors put on that collar for Canine Maxic. It's his indication that it's time to find narcotics. He gave him a little bit of food. It's the same as the labs. They're all food reward dogs when they do narcotics. Now, this is what we call a directive search. Officer Connor will walk in a systematic way around the room, and Canine Maxic will sniff everything in that area. We work counterclockwise around the room. And like I said before, Canine Maxic hasn't even graduated narcotic school yet. And this search is what we call an interior search. It would simulate the dog inside a cell block searching an area. That's Canine Maxic's detection that there's narcotics in the area. And in about 2 seconds, he's going to locate the narcotic and you'll see the difference. And that's the alert. He keeps placing his nose as close to the narcotic as possible. And every time he places his nose to that area, Officer Connors will give him a little bit of food. We choose our dogs 2 different ways. Our patrol dogs are chosen. We go out and test the dogs. We buy all our patrol dogs from a vendor that's on state contract. We travel to their location and we put them through a series of training, aggression training, environmental training, gunshots to make sure they're not afraid of gunshots. It's not just a quick couple hours of training, and we choose our dogs that way. Our narcotic dogs are real easy now. Most of our narcotic dogs that we select are rescue dogs. We go to local shelters and select a dog that we look for health and make sure the dog is environmentally sound. Because they're food reward dogs, we can pretty much train any dog to be a drug dog now. We meet twice a month as a large group. We meet with police departments made up mostly from the South Shore. It's probably about 40 to 50 dog handlers from communities like Braintree, Bridgewater, Kingston, Hingham, Wareham now, and all the way down to the Cape. Like I said, Director Ballinger from Barnstable County is the head instructor of that large group, and I assist him a lot in the training. It's a really good asset when we meet as a large group like that, because it's not just that one-sided view of canine. We get a lot of people, a lot of inputs of real-life experience that guys have run into on the street, and we bring it back to training and try to implement it into our training. Right now we're going to demonstrate a building search with one of our patrol dogs. It's going to be Officer Gillette and Canine Fram. If you look over here, we have Sergeant Harvey in a what we call a bite suit. It's a protective suit. It allows the dog to apprehend the suspect without injuring Sergeant Harvey. We're going to place Sergeant Harvey in a corner to simulate that the perpetrator is hiding, and we're going to bring Officer Gillette and Canine Fram upstairs and release him from another doorway, and he'll search this whole area and locate Sergeant Harvey. So Officer Gillette and Canine Fram, and they're going to perform a building search. When Canine Fram locates the suspect, he will apprehend him, IA bite. Good. What you'll see is Officer Gillette will bring his canine to the doorway. He's going to give verbal commands to the suspect, allowing him to give up if he would like to. Because it's a training exercise, the suspect is not going to give up. Please canine come out, the dog and find you and bite you. Please canine come out, the dog and find you and bite you. As a rule, we give at least 3 warnings. This is your last warning. Come out, the dog and find you and bite you. As you see, Officer Gillette said this is the final warning. Just fall right behind him.
Stop fighting my dog! Stop fighting my dog, man!
Right in, Dave. You can come right in. You can see Canine Fram has apprehended the suspect with a leg bite. Canine Fram is trained to hold that bite. As you can see, he's very safe. I can come in and touch Canine Fram. He's not going to let go of the suspect. Officer Gillette will perform what we call a felony liftoff. Hands up, bad guy. Missing persons is what, like I said, one of the things that the patrol dogs do. It's the ability for the dog to, if we get information that a person has gone missing from a house, it's the ability for a dog to go to that house and track a person from point A to point B. So if that person left the house and walked into a wooded area, the dog's ability to put its nose to the ground and track that human scent until it finds that person. It's the most important thing that our patrol dogs do is tracking. Tracking a felon or a missing person is no different. The dog tracks the same way. It's just a different result at the end. This is going to be Sergeant Harvey and Canine Aris. They're going to simulate a track. We've set what we call a practice track. You can see Canine Aris is wearing that black harness. That's what we call a tracking harness. It's a secondary indicator to tell Canine Aris that it's time to go tracking. We track with a 15-foot leash, which Aris is now attached to. You see his Sergeant Harvey will place the leash under his right leg, front leg, and that's another indication to the dog to start tracking. Because it's a practice track, we did a food track. It's just what we call a motivational track. The dog is trained to track footstep for footstep. Our dogs are trained to track human scent. Because it's a motivational track, at the end of this track, the dog's portion of food would be at the end, and that would be in replace of finding a person. An example of a narcotic search that stands out in my mind, a mutual aid call that I had, 2 actually stand out. One was in Stoughton. They had a car that they had towed back to the station. They couldn't find any narcotics in the car, but they believed there was narcotics. I showed up. Canine Sophie searched the vehicle, and within a half hour, she was giving an indication to the passenger seat underneath it. After giving a quick look, you couldn't see anything. And after further checking until we found a wire that didn't match up, one of the officers ended up cutting the wire, jumping it, and a hidden compartment was exposed. And in that hidden compartment, we found a loaded 9mm gun, $2,000 in cash, and 11 ounces of cocaine. Staff is made up of 5 other officers. They make me look good every day. Example of that is Sergeant Aruda and Sergeant O'Brien go out daily and represent this office doing narcotic searches. Like I said, we have the 3 up north. Johnny Connors is one of them. He was the one who's been around forever. We have Sergeant Harvey at Shirley. Officer Gillette, he is probably the newest handler to our patrol side. What makes a good canine officer, and everyone thinks they have to have prior experience to be a canine officer. When I was put on canine back in '94, I knew nothing about canine. I had a house dog. That was my closest thing of being a canine officer. It's not usual that someone coming from the street or coming from the correctional background has any kind of canine experience. Sometimes we'll have people from the military that have canine experience, but it doesn't give them any. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a person that is going to show dedication, is going to do the work, is going to put that extra effort into it, and is going to be there every time we need them to be there.
Thank you for watching the first edition of Around the Block. We hope that you found it to be informative and interesting. In our next edition, we'll highlight some programs at the MCI Framingham Women's Facility. Till next time, this is Chris Fallon signing off for the Massachusetts Department of Correction, where we're working for a safer tomorrow every day.